Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. It's time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax while we chat about what is happening in the stars above on this momentous day as the sun moves into Virgo, and tomorrow a Virgo new moon, and on Sunday a sun square Uranus day. It is quite the weekend, actually, if we think about it. Lots of potential, lots of opportunity. And today we are going to break that all down for you. And it all begins actually with the sun's move into the sign of Virgo. And as the sun moves into this very earth centered sign, the energy shifts to one of clarity and discernment and kind of refinement. Virgo's penchant for perfecting and clarifying and purifying and getting organized is part of that, and creating order out of chaos is part of that, and focusing on what's truly useful and what truly matters and what's truly practical. So the sun bringing this focus out of the Leo fire, where it was really all about self expression and fun and play and can we have a good time, vacation, and all of that kind of stuff. And Virgo is the sign of service and health, well being, your daily routines, and the ways that we take care of our bodies, our minds, and even our communities. And Virgo asks us, how can I improve? And how can I improve this body, this project, this business, this house, this whatever, right? Whatever it is that needs perfecting. And then how can I make it work better? Or how can I make this work easier? Right? How can I streamline what I'm doing? Because this is now ushering us into the season of editing and simplifying and aligning with integrity, right? This is a time that's very important every year when the sun moves into the sign of Virgo. Now, the shift from Leo fire to Virgo earth is kind of abrupt and kind of feels like we're moving from this bold and fiery, excessive, sort of expressive, not excessive, expressive energy of Leo into, or from where the focus has been on our creativity. It's been on our passion and living from the heart. And we're moving that now into Virgo's grounded, earthy, practical energy. So where Leo inspires us to shine and be ourselves and, live creatively, Virgo helps us polish that light. So it's steady and it's sustainable and makes sense, right? So this is like moving from the fireworks of summer and into the gentle, purposeful harvest of late summer, leading us into the autumn equinox. So we take all that Leo creativity and we move it into or shape it into something more useful, something that serves a purpose, right? We're taking all of that creative force and that creative energy, putting it to work for us out in the world and doing something awesome with it, hopefully, right? Um, Now, the human design aspect, the gene keys and human design aspect, here we get a little more crystallized view of what's happening with the sun moving into the gate 20. Well, the sun is in the gate 29 as it moves into Virgo. Um, and that was the gate of commitment. We talked a lot about that earlier this week, Monday, about how, it aligns us with what it is correct for us, or the saying yes to things, to opportunities, to relationships, to spending money, all needs to come from the level of commitment, kind of that heart centeredness, as opposed to that half heartedness that we can sometimes have. And the energy in the gate 29 asks us, what are we truly devoted to? In the gene keys, the highest energy, the siddhi of the gate or gene key 29 is devotion, right? What are we devoted to? And gate 29 teaches us that saying yes with our whole heart is powerful. But it also reminds us to be very discerning about what we commit to, right? What is right for you to say yes to. Not every opportunity deserves your full devotion, and not every opportunity that comes along needs to be said yes to, right? Sometimes the no is the right thing, right? Now, in the gene keys, we take a journey, and all the gene keys give us a journey that we're taking. And in the gene keys, this is the journey from the shadow of half-heartedness to the city of devotion through commitment, right? Commitment is the gift. And what are we fully immersing ourselves in to sustain the flow of life, right? What is really supportive of you? And when we commit to the right things, as we've seen, the ones that are aligned with our truth, the ones that we've used our type and strategy to make the decision about, doors open, synchronicities unfold, and our path becomes clear, right? We get to see, oh, this is where I was headed. So, as we step into Virgo season and this gate 29 energy, which by the way is only today, right? So, we start Virgo in the gate 29, but by the time we get to tomorrow's full moon or new moon, we are in a completely different gate and a completely different gene key. Right. So we get this energy today to really finalize what it is we say yes to and what it is that's we are truly committed to, and let go of the things that are only half-heartedly engaged with us, or that we no longer see the value of ourselves maintaining that. And then that leaves more energy open for the right things for you. So ask some questions of yourself as you step now into this Virgo sun energy. Where are you craving more order or simplicity in your life? Because the really cool thing about Virgo is it's very good at the editing process, at the nope, letting go, let go, keep. Right, that whole ability of the Virgo energy to be very discerning about what is correct and what commitments are draining your energy, because they're simply not truly aligned with you. What did you say yes to that you are, trying your best to keep excited about or keep, your energy up about, but it's not doing it. It's failing, right? You're not quite as excited as you were. And then what are you being called to devote yourself more fully to? Because that's the corollary here. First, what do I need to let go of? What do I need to simplify? But then what does that leaves me this extra energy, this void, which of course the universe does not like the void. And it is about, what do I want to put into that void now? Right? Maybe it's more rest. Maybe it's more time for play or pleasure, but it could also be more time to spend with your family and your kids, more time to examine the outdoors or to go on hikes, right? It's the idea of what is most correct for you and what can you say a wholehearted yes to so that your life can open up in beautiful ways. I mean, that's the key. This is, it's not about, letting yourself down because you didn't complete something. It's more about, well, what is it that my heart is truly aligned with? And Virgo energy is very good at the discerning. So this is the energy, then the sun in Virgo setting the stage for Saturday's new moon, which will stir things up because the planet Uranus is involved. Anytime Uranus is involved in one of the moons, it brings a level of unexpectedness or of surprise or shock even into the conversation. And the square of Uranus to that new moon makes it kind of tension filled, like maybe it's the surprise that we didn't really want, right? It's the shock that we really didn't want. Um, but Virgo season then is asking us to anchor in to clarity and commitment and purpose, even through the times that are upsetting or the times that are unexpected, all of those kinds of course corrections that we have to make sometimes, with Uranian surprises. All right, let's say good morning to people who are showing up here today. We have Tina. Good morning to you, Tina, and Debbie Tibbetts Two Meal. Happy Friday, she says. And thumbs up and like, please. Thank you very much for that reminder, Debbie. If you're enjoying the video, please hit the thumbs up or hit the like button, depending on whether you're watching Facebook or YouTube. And also share. Share it with your friends or with your networks. And Teddy Hickox, good morning to you. Stay hydrated, he says. And yes, that's because we are expecting what I call a long train of hot days. It's more like from now until Tuesday. We have days that are in the upper 80s to low 90s. And that came as kind of a shock because we've been in the low 70s or mid 70s, which is so comfortable, so pleasant. And now we're going high for a while. Not fun. Not fun for us. I know a lot of people love heat. My daughter is one that loves the heat, but me, I'm like, no, I like that cool feeling in the air, just that little cool. Anyway, so thanks for that reminder. Stay hydrated. J Lo, happy Friday to you. Nicole Duke, it's so good to see you. I love you too. Asa, good morning to you. Good to have you with us. Mary Ann, good morning. And others of you that I don't see you in the chat, but I know you're there. So thank you for being with us. This morning, she says it was 61 I think you're in New York City, right? So this morning when I got up, it was 55. That's about typical for us this time of year. So I'm wearing a jacket because I was a little bit chilly. But I'm loath to close the windows at night because I know it's going to heat up during the day. So we're at that, transition state. That's kind of the thing about Virgo season, at least for us in the Northern Hemisphere. It starts to bring that transition to fall. Like I notice the leaves are turning here. They've been turning. Sometimes it's just from the dry thing, but we've had kind of a damp summer. So it's possible it's truly fall colors making their presence known. All right, so let's transition now over to the new moon. Now, tomorrow's new moon is powerful. It is one that I think is kind of deceptively uh, changing us in some way, and deceptively because I feel like, there's been so much that's been in our world and so many things that are changing, and sometimes we're feeling like we're ragdolling from back, one side to the other. But I feel like this new moon is one that really gives us this ability to tap into the intention of what do we want to build from here? What is sustainable? What is not sustainable? Right? And sustainable is an interesting word because it brings up the need to really trim out the fat, right? Trim down what it is that you're doing so that what's left is what's most important for you or to you, right? And it's interesting too because this Virgo new moon occurring tomorrow morning at 2:06 a.m. if you're on the East Coast, 6:06 a.m. in the Universal Time Code or what is that? UTC time. I don't remember what that stands for, which means that for those of us that are on the West Coast this evening at about 11:06 p.m., we'll experience the new moon, right? Because it's so early in the morning, we're still lagging behind here. We're 3 hours behind that. And this will happen in very early Virgo, 0 degrees, 23 minutes of Virgo. But what really happens here is that we transitioned out of the gate 29, which is what we are today during the day, into the gate 59, while that gate is all about sustainability. And it happens to be sitting on the sacral center. And I looked up the Sabian symbol for this one because I like to do that. And the Sabian symbols are where each degree of the zodiac has been assigned um, a saying, a phrase, a sentence that describes it, a short description of what that degree means. And the Sabian symbol is this. In a portrait, the best of a person's traits and characters are idealized, which brings this theme of, image. What is your image? And how image oriented are you? And integrity. Integrity, because if we're not being true to ourselves, then the image is reflecting back to us something fake, not something that's real, not something that, makes any real sense for us. And another theme involved in the gate 59 that is included in the Sabian symbol is intimacy. How is it that we, come together? How is it that we share our energies with one another? How is it that we bond? This gate also brings up sexuality as, sex is an action of bonding between two people. So this new moon initiates the Virgo season with sort of this sharp-edged invitation. And that invitation is about who are you becoming and how sustainable is the image you're projecting, right? So it cracks me up. Like when we go to get our photos taken, right? We get all dressed up, right? And I'm talking about like portraits, right? We get dressed up. And I remember when my kids were younger and we would go to get family portraits done, right? I'd get them all cleaned up and ready to go, and they'd be dressed, nicely. And, pretty soon the real them is showing up, right? Spilling the milk down the front of themselves or dropping crumbs all over them, hair got all messed up. And it's funny because that would be so frustrating, right? You spend all this time getting your kids dressed for this picture, getting yourself dressed, and they spill something on you. So, and the other funny thing I think about is like, here I am today. I'm very comfortable. I come on air all the time, very comfortable. And yet, if I were to put on a business suit and just take a portrait, it would not be the real me because I never wear a suit. I never wear a blazer. I like comfortable clothing. I don't like to feel like I'm in some kind of monkey suit. So the picture, what are you projecting? Here it comes, right? This idea of what am I putting out there? Am I looking like I really feel? Am I looking like the true me, or am I making something up just for the sake of the camera? Right? There's that question. Now, in human design, the new moon lands in the gate 59, as I said, the gate of sustainability, which is a deeply relational and creative energy. And it's often associated with intimacy and fertility. It's very productive oriented, which is perfect for Virgo energy. And the gate asks you not just what about you're merging with, but whether the connection that you feel in the merging can endure over time, or is it just superficial, right? Sustainable versus superficial. And sustainable here means truth, resonance, and aligned reciprocity, right? Being reciprocal, that this is an aligned relationship. Both, people, if it's a people that you're in relationship with, because it always is usually, um, are you aligned? And being aligned doesn't mean that you have to think the same way, act the same way, look the same way. That's not what it means. It means do your values align, right? You might go about doing things differently. That's fine. But here, are you aligned with people that are truly your people? And yet, the Sabian symbol here tells a little bit more complex story, one of idealized portraits, polished profiles, um, curated projections, like I'm, faking who I am here. And this is the image you want others to see, but is it also who you are? There's the question. Are you projecting something that's real or something that's false? Right. And the message here, then, in this new moon really is going to be about you balancing what you show with what's real, right? If you were to show yourself as something completely different than who you are, it's going to come across as not real. It's going to come across as fake. But you're becoming rooted in the truth of who you are as we enter into this Virgo season. And it's not just about the performance of who you are. It's not the actor on the stage, although that's fine. There's nothing wrong with playing a role as long as you know that that's what you're doing and that it's not the authentic you, right? That's the key. Now, there are some major aspects in this new moon, and I'm going to add the photo to the stage here so that you all can see. This is the chart of the new moon, and you can see it's activated and highlighted. And because I know you can't see my cursor, I actually color coded some of the things that are going on here. And you'll see on the lower left of the circle, um, the square to Uranus is in blue. the two yods or in conjuncts are in pink, and the minor grand trine that is in the background is in green. And if you look right down at the bottom, you'll see that I've highlighted the new moon and I've named Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus in the chart because they're all the major players. So, though this new moon it doesn't make any soft conjunctions or any soft aspects. Even a conjunction sometimes can be difficult because you're trying to blend two energies, the light of the sun, the essence of who you are with on the outer you, and that with the moon, the inner you, the emotional you, right? And merging these things together can sometimes be difficult. A conjunction, I think, isn't necessarily a harsh aspect, but it's definitely not always the easy aspect either. And yet, the sun moon conjunction during the new moon is activated by multiple kinds of aspects. So, first, let's talk about the minor grand trine. It's still active. It's still active because it's active through 2028, right? So, we have this with us for a long time. It's in the background, it's humming, it's just humming. And it's the green triangle that you see there with the trine between Uranus in Gemini and Jupiter in Cancer, or excuse me, Pluto in Aquarius. Oh my God, where's my brain? And both of those pointed up to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So it creates this minor grand trine. And this is the long term transformation that we are undergoing. It's Pluto, power transformation, right? Empowering the people transformation. It's Uranus and Gemini, technological advancements, educational advancements, information age advancements. And then Saturn and Neptune that are both in Aries at this moment, although Saturn is about to move back into Pisces. He's in retrograde. Um, they're still shaping the future's architecture, right? This Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, so it's all things new. This is a new moon, and this flowing energy of this minor grand trine is flowing us into, well, what becomes our future? Now, the square is from the new moon to Uranus, and you'll see that in blue. And a square is always a tension filled kind of aspect. And in it, there can be sudden clarity, that aha moment, that surprising aha. Oh my gosh, I get it now kind of feel, right? Nervous energy. So if you're feeling kind of jittery, or if you're doing like I'm doing this morning and dropping things everywhere and, going, what is wrong with me? There's this nervousness, right? Your nerves are tweaking out a bit by this Uranian energy. And there could be disruption to your most carefully laid out plans because Uranus does the disruption thing, not to harm us or punish us, but really to awaken us, right? And there could be this flash of truth that comes through everything that you're doing. Um, and that shatters illusions, right? It just shatters everything that we thought was real. But ultimately, it helps us realign to our truth, right? To our most aligned selves. Now, the inconjuncts, these are, while we know what the square can do, right? We know the square to Uranus can be a disruptor, could be awakening, could be shocking in some ways. The inconjuncts, though, they throw sort of a monkey wrench out there. And these are not just inconjuncts, they actually form a yod. As you can see, highlighted in pink in the photo here is the yod. And the yod is pointed with the apex at the new moon. So it tells us that in order to make the most of the Saturn, Neptune, and Aries energy, which forms the base, the new architecture, along with Pluto, empowerment to the people, in order to do the best of that, we have to do something with this new moon in Virgo, right? We have to evolve. There's no stagnancy allowed at this point in time, right? We can't stay stuck. So we have this inner pressure to evolve. We have this power of transformation through Pluto, which may feel uncomfortable because transformation is always a process of first coming undone and then the process of the the crash and burn, and then what can be built, the phoenix moment, right? What can be rebuilt or rebirthed or reborn through the phoenix. And then arising through the awkward adjustments in control, in authority, and in identity. So these yods are uncomfortable, right? They cause us to do something, right? We have to either adjust to go along with that flow, or we have to sacrifice something to let go of something in order to go with that flow. Then the inconjunct to Saturn and Neptune in Aries, there can be confusion. Then that confusion is between the ideal and the real, right? Neptune holds the ideal, the visionary, the imaginary, the what could be if, right? And yet Saturn says, well, what could be is nice, but how are you going to build it? How are you going to get it there? And with both of these here, then we may struggle to reconcile our dreams with what's practical, or or your drive to get something done, your ambition, with your sensitivity to, how much do I know about this, or how much can I do? So that struggle is real, right? We're feeling that struggle. And these aspects on a collective level during the new moon ask us, what outdated structures do we have to surrender? Do we have to let go of? That that baggage that we, have to release so that we can go forward with less weight, right? With the less structure. What future truths are pressuring you to evolve? As we look down at the future and we can see the handwriting on the wall, because we are all human and we are all very intuitive, and we can see like the direction that things are moving in. So, what do we need to do to evolve, to keep up, to be able to go with that flow? And then, are you willing to revise the story you're telling yourself about yourself? That's a big one, right? I had have been telling myself this story about the difficulties I have sometimes with technology. Not because I don't like technology, but because, technology moves ahead so fast. And just as you are sure you know how to do something, that changes and you have to do it in a different way. And I'm working on a big project behind the scenes, and I was going to need to update my website in order to accommodate that. And I was like, I don't, I can't find where this is. I don't know how to do this. And then I thought, yes, you do. You are a mistress of Google, because I've proved that to myself this week several times with the different things going on here in my RV that needed fixing, and me going, okay, Google this, Google that. So I Googled it. I got the answer I needed, and I found that I could be self um, self-express, what's the word, I'm self-sustaining? I can do things self-sufficient, there's the word. I could be self-sufficient, but I was telling my story to myself about what I needed, or about what I thought I couldn't do, instead of what I could do, right? How could I empower myself to do certain things? All right, so keep that in mind, right? What are you telling yourself? What's the story? And are you ready to revise it? Now, if we look at the new moon through the lens of sustainability, it speaks not only to intimacy sexually, or in relationship, interpersonal dynamics, but also to the energy that we use to create enduring bonds and legacies. So the new moon says, let your commitments, whether they're creative, relational, or vocational, be sustainable, not performative, right? You're not just doing it for a performance, a one off, and then it's done. It has to be the reflection of the real, authentic you. So, what image of yourself are you still trying to perfect? And which one is real? And which one is sustainable? And where are you being called to be more deeply authentic, right? In your relationships, in your job, in your outer life, right? And your inner life. And what truth is breaking through, even if it disrupts your plans, right? What truth is really breaking through to that surface? That's the scary part, right? Because we know sometimes there's this truth, and we're reluctant, especially with yods, right? We're reluctant to let go, or we're reluctant to uh, change, right? Because, this is working just fine, but inside it's not. So what is it that you have to change? All right. So, questions about that. By the way, if you are looking at this through the lens of your own personal chart, which is indeed what I hope you are doing, look first to where Virgo is in your chart. If this chart were a person, um, it would be in the third house, right? This is where the new moon is. The third house is the house of communication, of the mind, and of the thinking and learning processes. So, if a new moon is in your third house, perhaps there's a new learning curve ahead, right? There's something new coming in terms of how you communicate, how you share information, how you take in information, right? But remember, that's the point of a yod. So on the other end, you've got to look to the Aquarian part of your chart where Pluto sits and the Aries part of your chart where Neptune and Saturn sit to take a look, right? So this is obviously going to impact the 10th house of career and profession if you have a third house Virgo. And it's also going to impact the 8th house of death and rebirth, the whole process of transformation. So this looks like a career transformation in how, if this were a person, how this person would be sharing information, how this person would be learning about new things or would be teaching new things, even because that's a house of teaching. And you know what's funny is that this is aligned as in my own chart. I just noticed this is a Cancer rising. I have Cancer rising. I have a Virgo moon and Pluto at 5 degrees or so of Virgo in the third house. How funny is that? Kind of unique moon for me, I suppose. Okay, so let's go back and see how it is. I need to escape here. There we go. Questions, people. How is everybody doing out there? Good morning, Amy D. Whoop whoop. She says, Janet, my shirt is exactly the same color. I love this peachy pinky color. It's my favorite. Teddy, Butterfinger, not the chocolate bar. Indeed. It's just been awkward this morning. That's what I feel like. It's just been awkward. Trying to do things is awkward. Um, Pulling teeth to try to get things done. It's just a weird day. And Ophiuchus, I haven't even brought up Ophiuchus lately, and yet that's something that we should be aware of as we start to move into the autumn season in the northern hemisphere here, where the sun transits through Scorpio and Ophiuchus, or Scorpio, Ophiuchus, Sagittarius, right? That in between. I can't wait to talk more about that. J-Lo, Virgo, fourth IC at 0 degrees, gate 29.6. So you are absolutely involved in looking at what it is you say yes to. What do you commit to as far as home and family? What satisfies the roots here? What makes up the foundation? And is it to use some of the words we used earlier, is it performative? Are you just doing what you need to do without even thinking about, is this real? Is this what I really want? Because what forms that foundation then is moving up then through your 11th house and through your 7th house, relationships and groups, friends, things like that, networks. So interesting, right? And let's see, anybody else with questions about their chart, about where Virgo is in their chart? Like if I just take a couple other examples, if you have Virgo on the rise, and I know a couple of you do out there, then this is personal, right? This is you really coming in. That new moon is sitting in the first house for you. And that means that this is time for you to take a personal look at how it is that you're being real, or are you sustainable, or is what you're putting out there sustainable? Because the personal nature of the first house is bringing it inward, bringing it to you. And then, of course, then becomes the reflection of you in the outer world. Let's say you have it in the second house, which is a money house. Are you sustainable in a financial way? Are you hemorrhaging money? Are you putting money in places that doesn't make sense for you, that are places that really hold no value for you? This would be a great time to take a look at that and reform your relationship with money. Maybe do a new budget, right? Maybe take a look at, where it is that you could reduce debt, but at the same time, create some opening to spend money on what you really value. Fourth house, we talked about. Third house, fifth house. This is a house of creativity. So if you have that new moon in the fifth house, this is creativity, joy, pleasure, fun, self expression, taking a risk, right? Stepping out of the shadow of your own fear and becoming something that you really wanted to be. If it's in the sixth house, this is a Virgo house by nature in the chart. So this might be addressing your health and welfare, your routines, the daily habits that you are engaged with and upgrading them, so to speak. Asking yourself, does this really support me? Is this just a time fill, right? Am I just, wasting time? Seventh house is going to hit your relationships, especially your business partnerships or your marriage or significant others. And again, this is an opportunity to look in the mirror. What are you seeing in your relationships? Are you giving away too much of yourself in the relationship? Are you living the truth in that relationship? Eighth house, well, sex, death, and rebirth, right? So all of that is a very big house of change and transforming. It's very emotionally deep as well. So taking a look at the emotions that you're holding. Ninth house would be all about growth and expansion. So how can I grow? Do I need to be sustainably growth oriented? Because sometimes you can grow, but if you're, just growing like willy nilly, that's more like a cancer or a tumor than with focused, developed growth, with a plan, with a strategy. 10th house career. So a career or professional focus, an authority focus. Are you standing in your own authority, in your own authenticity? 11th would be about your groups and your friendships. Do they really reflect who you want to be around? Or are you joining up to groups just because, right? That's people. Make sure that you're in alignment with them. And in the 12th house, you're digging up from the unconscious or the subconscious mind, maybe your fears and your blocks or limits, right? Or the self sabotaging behaviors so that you can right the ship, right? So that you can move forward into your divinity. The 12th house would be a difficult place if you are blind to what's going on in your own life, if you're blind to the impact of fear or of the past and how it's playing in your life. All right, so there we go. Just ran that down. So, anybody now, if you have questions about that, I'm going to move on to the Sun square Uranus on Sunday. But again, remember, Sun and Moon are in a conjunction on Saturday. They are in a square to Uranus in Gemini on Saturday. But now I'm going to pull the Sun out of that so that we can look at it because it is an exact conjunct or an exact square on Sunday. So don't get confused. It's there Saturday, but now we're going to talk about just the Sun in this. So I want to talk about this in the context of the cycle of the Sun and Uranus. So the Sun being the faster moving body here, it is always in movement in relationship to all of the planets, but we're just going to talk about its relationship to Uranus right now. And it's about a year-long cycle, right? And the conjunction always begins the cycle, right? When they come together in that conjunction, it starts the cycle for this next year. And then we go through the sextile, we go through the square, we go through the trine, then the opposition, then the next trine, then the next sextile, then we come to the next conjunction. So it's a cycle, right? And cycles are useful for us to see what it is that we might be experiencing during this period of time with these two planets. So the last new beginning of the cycle was on May 18th, 2025, and that occurred at 27 degrees of Taurus. Okay. But since then, we've moved out of Uranus has moved out of Taurus and into Gemini. So the square is in a different configuration than the squares, say, last year, right? Because now it's squaring a different sign, a different energy altogether. So the square, this is the first square of the Sun and Uranus since the conjunction, right? That was just in May. So now we've gone through the sextile, we've gone through the, now we're up to the um, square. Now we hit the first crisis point, and it's a crisis point of action. And just like the moon, right? The moon goes through the same cycle with its relationship to the sun. And the first point, the first square is always about a crisis of action. And the Virgo sun here challenges us. Like, how do we put those new seeds into practical form? How do we build it? What do we do? Right? The intention is intention is really a fifth dimensional construct. I'm going to jump dimensions here. So, all of our intention setting, when we do that, even though we may say it, we may write it, we may be journaling it, and it seems physical, intentions themselves are fifth dimensional. That's where they live, right? That's what that dimension is partly about, is the intention, right? But from the fifth dimension, we have to bring it into the third dimension, which requires action, requires us to take steps. So those new seeds that we plant through intention at the new moon then has to be put into some form of working plan. Now, Uranus in Gemini resists. He doesn't like the plan necessarily. Doesn't like the plan because he likes freedom. He doesn't like the plan because he likes to just be liberated and do what he wants to do. And so we have this challenge with the sun in Virgo that says, what are you going to do about it? And Uranus now in Gemini, who wants freedom, who wants variety, who wants innovation, and disrupting said plan, right? Or said seed planting. So, how do we deal with this, right? The square is always challenging, it's tension, but it does cause us to move energy, to do something, right? So we need the squares because they bring all of that need for action to the surface, brings that intention out of the fifth dimension and down into the third, so we can actually work with it because you live in the third dimension. And in Virgo, Virgo is order and systems, sustainability and clarity. Gemini is multiplicity, it is ideas, communication, and changeability. And we have this tension. How do I commit Virgo energy without losing the Gemini flexibility? How do I do that? And then that means this is, sorry, my phone is ringing in my ears. It scared me. Um, so the question then, this is the moment where we really test whether our routines and structures and commitments can really hold up against the new ideas and the sudden shifts. Is it going to stand the test of time? So it does bring up the need sometimes for us to be flexible, but the tension is that I'm in the middle of building this thing and I've already done all this work and now it's gone. What do I do? Right? That happened to me this morning. So what is it that we have to be flexible in, and how is it then that we need to move forward? Okay. Now, in the human design aspect of the sun and Uranus here, the sun is in the gate 59 in this square, which is sustainability. And it's still here in this gate. It forms the week ahead starting tomorrow morning. And sustainability, commitment, intimacy, what endures, what will stand the test of time. Uranus is in the gate 8, however, and the gate 8 is a gate called contribution, and it's all about the authentic expression, that bringing our unique style into the world. Right? So we have this authentic expression with Uranus, the need to really, you know, bring our voice out with the Virgo sun and its need for us to be practical and down to earth. So the dynamic here is about whether our commitments allow space for authentic contribution, right? Is in the commitment that you made, is there the opportunity for you to be you, right? To do what's right for you. Now, in the gene keys, here is where it gets kind of interesting. Remember, the gene keys are taking us through the shadow, the gift, and the siddhi. These are frequency energies. So, where we are resonant at a certain frequency. And Sometimes we're resonant with the shadow, sometimes we're resonant with the gift. Our goal is to resonate with the city, right? Well, in the lowest expression, the gate 59 sustainability is dishonesty, where we are trying to be something we're not, or where we're trying to do something that's not correct for us. As we move up, we get into intimacy. Now, that's an interesting leap, I think, from dishonesty, right? To go into intimacy. Because intimacy, to me, besides the way that we work intimacy in relationships, it also speaks to something about going straight to the heart of something, right? Going to the real deep you, right? The intimate you, the part of you that maybe very few people actually see, but is where your truth lives, right? It's really your truth. And as we move up the frequency, then we get to transparency. In the highest expression, the gate 59 or the gene key 59 is about being transparent, where your heart shines through, right? You're shining outward, you're being transparent. Now let's do the same with Uranus at the gate 8, because here what we have in the shadow is mediocrity. And that is when you are just, you know, giving a passing sort of energy to your gifts, to what you're doing, to your contribution. You're not really trying. You're just, you know, in mediocrity, right? The gift here, though, moves to style. And this is you really being you, right? It has a very distinctive feel of, someone who just lives their truth no matter what others think, without fear perhaps of, hurting other people, or just being themselves. And when we get up to the highest expression of the gate 8, it's exquisiteness. Just think of how that feels to be the exquisite expression of who you are, the truth of who you are. And to put all of that Virgo work energy, that gate 59 sustainability energy, the work, the production towards something that you value, that is authentically you, that is your style, your voice, um, your performance, your act, right? And then making it with exquisiteness. I love it. So together, authenticity in contribution, and half truths, or versus the half truths in commitments, right? So we have to be really authentic in what it is that we commit to, so that our contribution is real. The sun square Uranus is really asking that of us. So if we integrate this, the first square is an action point. And this is the first square that we're coming to between the sun and Uranus. So it's time to do something differently. It's time to upgrade, right? It's time to up level, to go to the next level, right? Uranus may disrupt what's unsustainable. So pay attention to what's being disrupted in your life, or in the way that you work, or in the way that you flow. But it's only disrupting so that you can actually contribute more authentically in your real authentic voice, in your real authentic self. Think of it as a wake up call, right? That Virgo asks for clarity, Gemini demands freedom, and both are needed, or else you can't move forward, right? So, as we think about this new moon, then, and the day after's Sun square Uranus, what new seeds were planted back on May 18th, in the spring, late spring of mid spring of 2025, right? Just 3 months ago. And that's when the sun was conjunct Uranus. What did you plant then? And what's needing to be changed on that action now, right? So, where are you now being asked to act on those changes, even if it feels disruptive, right? And sometimes the universe will disrupt you in its own way. For example, this morning, I was in the process of producing a video into pieces, into parts. I was editing the autumn eclipse webinar from Wednesday down into more digestible pieces. And I did it, and I was interrupted partway through and didn't get to finish it. And so this morning, I closed out the screen. It asked me if I wanted to save the project, and I said no. So all that work is gone. Now it's like the universe saying, "You don't need to go through all that hassle, just put out the whole video." You don't have to break the video down into 6 videos, or it was actually gonna be like 8 or 9 videos. Oh my goodness, okay. Like, make my life easier, right? So the last question is, do my current commitments leave room for my authentic self to shine? Because if there's no room, then it won't happen, right? If you don't have room to breathe, then it becomes very constricted. So you do need to have space. And just remember that this whole disruption isn't punitive. It's meant for you to take a look at what it is that you're engaged with and the action steps that you're taking, and do they align with the authentic you or not? If it's a not, if it's like that portrait where you're all dressed up in your business suit, but never wear a business suit ever again, then there's something to be said about changing, right? Because the picture isn't matching the real you. It may look pretty, right? You may be wanting to project this business-like self, but when you really come right down to it, what do you wear on a daily basis? I mean, who are you in your business? I mean, if you are business suit lady or man, great. Then the picture matches. But it feels totally inauthentic to dress up like that if that's not who you are in your business, let's say, or in your life. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Questions, guys. Tell me, how are you feeling about all of this? Good morning, TD Hawk. It's good to see you. She says, yeah, holy moly. Virgo's on her 8th house. Indeed. So big changes, right? This whole transformational um, death, birth. Also looking, though, at things that you share with other people, the resources in particular. So, income or money that is held up in investments or tax credits, things like that, and or a spouse's income or somebody that you get money from, because the 8th house has a lot to do with finances as well as this whole idea of change. And the emotion energy is very ramped up there as well. And think about this, because Virgo is an earth sign. So, to me, with your Virgo 8th house, what emotions might you be holding back because they're not practical, or it feels like you shouldn't be sharing? So, kind of lots of different psychological things can come into play there as well. Good morning, Maricel. Hi, greetings here from New York City. Nick Mental, following you for a little bit of time, just to say, with nervous excitement, I have Uranus at 0 Virgo, 9th house. Thank you for all your wise counsel. Oh my goodness, that's awesome, because 0 Virgo, 9th house means that you are in for a huge growth time, right? That 9th house is expansive, it's growth oriented. But if you have Virgo there, you want to do that with a plan, planned growth, right? To be able to take one step and put it in front, one foot and put it in front of the other. Um, and to be able to sustain growth, right? Because you don't want that just runaway growth that has no purpose, no place, no cutoff point, right? No end result. What am I after? Okay, so make sure you have the plan. Amy D, Virgo in my 2nd house, scared about the little bit of money I have in the market. Okay, so fear isn't going to help you here. It will just drag you down, right, into the dirt, into the muck. Better to take your Virgo 2nd house and be very judicious about your money. Take a look at it. Is it working for you? Is it not working for you? Maybe it's time to get a what do you call those guys? A financial advisor in on board to help you determine your real fiscal condition. Definitely don't be afraid, right? This is a new moon. So it's possible to set the seed for something new. So what I think I hear you saying, Amy, is that you want the money that you have in the markets to be prosperous, right? To bring dividends, or to, grow. And that's what you want. That's what you've got to stay focused on. Don't let the fear of it not being that way be the dominant thought, because then it becomes the created thing, right? Got to be careful what we keep our minds on. So do the things that empower you to make sure that that investment is solid or is working for you. Okay. Second house is tricky because it also goes to your earning power. And I don't know, maybe you're at an age where you're getting ready to retire. So maybe you're looking ahead at, is this money growing appropriately for me as my earnings maybe, going down as time goes on. So keep all of that in mind. Tamara, yes, don't know how my mother put her name on the deed of the house my father left to me. Mom is living in the house. Okay, so Virgo would say, let's get practical here. Let's dig into the details because Virgo is the details, right? And I remember we just had this conversation. I remember the situation. So definitely definitely take it in hand. You may not know how she did it or how it happened, but you can go find out how that happened. You can find out where you stand in all of this. You can find out what you need to do to protect yourself or to do something new. Okay. Take this new moon, run with it in that respect. Amy, yes, I always need to work on my thoughts being what I want and not what I don't want. Thanks for the reminder. Um, Powell just signaled possible rate cuts in September, by the way. Everything's up. Yeah, I noticed that myself. I saw like a passing news thing on before I came on the air this morning. So uh, I think that has an economic impact of growth. We'll see how that plays out, whether or not it causes problems or does it work out in our benefit. And Amy, I want to address something else. Some of you out there might have a manifesting blueprint that includes contrast, which means, and I have this, right? This is in my own manifesting blueprint. So by contrast, it means that you're able to look at what it is you don't want. So, Amy, if you were a contrast person, I don't know if you and I worked on a manifesting blueprint, but if we did, check that and see, were you a contrast person? Because if you were, you need the contrast. You need to be able to look out and say, I don't want that. Okay, so that contrast helps you see what it is you do want. And now, knowing that I don't want my resources to dwindle, I want my investments to prosper, I can now create the intention that I of what I do want. So you just don't want to get stuck in the stinking thinking of that contrast, if that makes sense, right? So contrast, yes, because it helps you, identify what it is you do want. Others of you are not like this, right? Some people think that this is negative thinking, and it really isn't. It's just you being able to say, hmm, I don't like that. I don't want that. That's not me. That's not what I want. So then I now know what I do want, which is the opposite of that contrast, right? So now I can go this way. But others of you, are just able to say, this is what I want and I'm heading in that direction. I don't need to see what I don't want. But others of you, probably 50% of you, do need that contrast. And Amy, I think that's what's happening for you. Just remember not to get stuck in the I don't want. Okay. Um, all right. Okay. So any other questions? If not, let's draw a card for our new moon. Let's see what deck wants to come out and play. Ooh, The Oracle of the Seven Energies by Colette Baron Reed. Today I get my new decks. I'm in her deck of the month club, or Hay House's deck of the, I mean, it's a decks of the quarter because every quarter you get new decks. So I'm getting 3 new decks, I'm guessing, today, which is not in time for us to share today, but on Monday, when we next meet, we will be able to do that. Now, while I am asking these cards to bring up the card for the new moon, um, I want to remind you that I am part of a summit, the She Rises Summit. You can go onto my Facebook page and you can get the link for that. It's free to sign up for the summit. You can advance to the VIP, but you don't have to. And on top of that, I am one of the speakers, and I will be teaching a course, a master class on combining astrology, human design, and the gene keys. And here is the card that I pulled, and I love this card because I love hummingbirds. It says, "Let it go." Let me see if I can back this into it's card number 24, which is a 6, and it says, "Let it go." And it's very heart oriented, I'm guessing. So let's see here, card 24. But okay, here is what this card says. The key concept is forgiveness, healing resentments, shedding the role of the eternal martyr, letting go of victimhood. Ooh, such a great Virgo new moon thing, right? Because that whole axis, Virgo Pisces, and its opposite is Pisces, is martyr and victim. Cutting the ties that bind you to a destructive story, releasing pain so you can move into the lesson it offers, and relinquishing the need to be right. There are times in life when you must forgive, lest you become a hostage to your anger, frustration, disappointments, and resentments. This is not about condoning bad behavior or minimizing a hurt done to you. Forgiveness is simply a commitment to stop telling an old story so you don't carry its burden anymore. If you don't forgive, old hurts fester and become distorted, causing you pain over and over again. You become trapped in a prison of your own making, tied to the very story that you were a victim. It's time to cut the invisible cords attaching you to that situation and preventing you from moving forward. The truth is, you are victimizing yourself every time you recreate the unresolved hurt in your mind or speak of it with friends. Rather than allow this folly to repeat, surrender the situation to your higher power. Now is the time for radical forgiveness. Say no to drama in all forms and forgive yourself and others for engaging in it. Consider the ancient Hawaiian practice known as Ho'oponopono. This simple prayer is a beautiful way to begin the process of forgiveness. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Thank you. I love you. It's based on the idea that we are all responsible for the reality we see in the world. If something is awry, whether it's your perception, your emotional reactions, your judgment, and so forth, it's up to you to clean it up. Forgiveness is the key to a liberated and meaningful life, no matter what method you choose. Just do it. There we go. I think that resonates quite soundly with the Virgo new moon. And that, my friends, is it for me today. Thank you so much. Don't forget pre-sale of the Energy Almanac coming up September 1st through the 11th. You can bundle it with a couple of really fantastic offers. I'll be sharing more about that soon. See you on Monday. Bye for now.